Hello and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're checking out Yeti Hunter by Vlambeer. This is the same developer that did Super Crate Box, and I am actually pretty psyched to play this. I've seen this on a lot of people's lists of my other indie coverage involving friends on YouTube, and this is one that I've always wanted to play myself, just never got around to it, and today I decided it's time to get around to it. So we start out in the frozen wilderness here in what looks like possibly a pile or pool of our own blood, as it has stained the snow here. So I guess we're an injured hunter, and we're going to be doing our best to fend off some Yetis. And don't worry, I'm not going to pull anything like in that other episode. We're going to be doing some hunting today. Because Yetis, I don't know, they just deserve it, being fictional creatures and all. So, what do we have in our arsenal, aside from walking and shooting? Well, we can also climb trees. Nothing particularly wild about that, although the climbing is a little bit strange. But we're looking at a pretty lo-fi hunting environment here. I believe you're supposed to just walk up to them and then press control to go back down, but it doesn't always quite work. Not a big deal. I have to say, though, the music is quite beautiful. I know it's tuned way, way down, but you'll probably want to go grab this game. It's free, and hear it for yourself. This is definitely one I wouldn't mind having the soundtrack to, even if it's only a couple of audio files. Audio files for audio files, right? That's what we like. And the very minimalistic environment actually reminds me a lot of Proteus. Perhaps not quite as spastic, or rather, it is much more spastic than Proteus, is what I tried to say there, with this snow that seems to be flashing and flickering. I mean, I guess it's supposed to look like a blizzard, but in a way it's coming across like it's just sort of flailing about. So I'm not sure how difficult it is to encounter a Yeti. I have not done that yet. I'm also not exactly sure how big this environment is, or if it's procedurally generated. Maybe it's infinite. We also don't seem to be able to jump, but we can sprint, so that's probably pretty helpful. So we're going to be doing a little sprinting. It is kind of pretty in its simplicity. I mean, the same way that I found Proteus pretty, this has a similar vibe to it. Although Proteus was a lot more moody, and the color palette seemed like it was really effectively chosen. This one, I mean, not that it's not effectively chosen, but it's just more limited in its scope, is all. In its scope, haha. Alright, so hopefully... Oh, crap. Now I feel like we just accidentally fell into the pit in Atari for 2600. And the mood just got very sinister. There was no transition whatsoever. We just were thrown into dark. And if Yetis are going to be after me in this, with this flashing, crazy snow... I thought that was a Yeti for a second. I got terrified. No, I wasn't really terrified. Should be interesting. Maybe we should climb a tree, because can Yetis really get you up a tree? I don't know how good a climber a Yeti may be. I really have trouble with this climbing. I did it once really effectively. Oh, there we go. Alright, now I'm at the top of a tree. It seems like I would want to like set up camp up here and like just get ready to hunker down and maybe do some long-term waiting and being quiet in case a Yeti happens to wander into the scene. Oh, we also do have a crouch, by the way, which I forgot to mention. That is on control. Those are your only main controls here. We've got just your right click to scope, left click to shoot, shift to run, and control to duck. And then when you're on a tree, I believe shift and control should also operate those functions up and down. But again, it seems a little iffy with that. The snow is actually getting a little bit on my nerves now. It's very much in my eyes. I mean, it's kind of hard to avoid. It's almost like static. Like TV static. It's hitting you so hard. If you look up, you can see that there seems to be a plane that it's stuck to. What I'm going to guess happened... Oh, it's day again. Oh, I like the music much better now. What I'm going to guess they did to make the snow make sense, they probably put a box that follows the player's perspective around, or some form of a box, maybe a different shape, maybe a triangle, so the points are harder to notice. And just to have that follow whenever the player walks, just have the box or whatever shape it is go along with the character, so it always looks like you're perpetually in the midst of a snowstorm without having to render, you know, distance snow. It kind of makes sense to do it that way, to be honest with you. I mean, you save so much on resources, but at the same time, you don't get a feeling of any kind of depth or perspective. It feels more like this is just attached to the camera, which may be the case as well. I don't actually know what the real thing was here. So hopefully we're going to run into a Yeti. I'm not sure if there's a specific way I'm supposed to be looking for them. I mean, I'm trying to use my adept hunting skills here to notice like a broken twig on this thing, and then I'm going to follow its trail, or like some footprints, or like a trail of blood, or I don't know, whatever Yetis have, a trail of gore that it left from eating. What is this? This is something different. Hey, look. I just said that, and there it is. So, I don't know how we follow it. I'm going to say this is an arrow pointing us in this direction, so I'm going to do that. Oh, is that actually... Am I onto something here? I think I may be, actually. Yeah. Alright, cool. So we're tracking a Yeti right now through some sort of frozen tundra. It's not a position I expected to find myself in today, but indie games do that to you, man. You never know where you're gonna end up. Follow your nose wherever it goes. Alright, we're definitely onto something here. We're gonna catch up to that thing soon, and then we're gonna bag it and tag it. Things are getting somber all of a sudden because I haven't seen another blood spatter for a moment, and now I feel like maybe I should retrace my steps, which is going to inevitably lead me getting lost. Alright, there it is, pointing in this direction? Isn't that? Okay, I don't know. That may or may not be where I just came from. It's a little disorienting because there's very little frame of reference here. We're looking at primarily the same colors. Oh, well, I guess I could also go up the tree. And then maybe I can scope out... Oh crap, it's dark again. Oh man. I was hoping I could use that to maybe get another bead on a blood spatter. I mean, I'm not Dexter Morgan here, I'm no expert. And I don't have my plastic wrap with me or anything to be an effective killer here, but I do have a sniper rifle, which is usually more than enough. Unless you're dealing with Dexter Morgan, but that's besides the point. By the way, I'm a big Dexter fan, if you didn't know that. Not catching a trail anymore. Things are looking bleak. I like this little snowdrift here, that's kind of a nice effect. As subtle as it is, just a couple of boxes. It's just absolutely incredible what you can do with such minimalistic sprite art. If you're an expert, as I know Vlambeer is. I mean, really all we've got here is some, like, tree sprites, some occasional snow embankments, this never-ending torrent of snowflakes, and the occasional bush, and I guess Yeti sprites that have yet to be seen. That have Yeti to be seen. Oh god, I'm so punny, I'm sorry. Oh, there's one. I really hope we get to see one in the video, otherwise I'm going to feel like I wasted my time. I also may be running so fast and not looking around that I may just run right by one. I don't know to what effect they make their presence known. I'm hoping they're not going to just hide away from me, because that'll just be really boring. When I think of a Yeti, I think of those horrible monstrosities from Fallout 3. You know, something that just wants to charge out of a room and, you know, hit you with a pipe or something. No, I don't really think of that, actually. Alright, these both seem to be pointing in this direction. I still don't know if I'm actually onto something by saying that the direction they're pointing has anything to do with the direction you should be headed in. But we are seriously taking this tracking thing as seriously as we can. Hopefully it'll pay off. And it's kind of cool to think that once you set up an engine for something like this, it has a lot of uses. You could really expand on something like this and turn it into something like Proteus. I mean, it's a cool start, and the fact that there's transitions, it goes from day to night, I mean, it's kind of a crazy transition, but at the same time, it gets the point across. And it really does change the mood effectively, instantly. Like, as soon as it changes, you're like, oh, crap. Stuff just got dark, and I hope I'm not getting tracked by wolves, and I hope the plane didn't crash. Oh, man. Liam Neeson references everywhere lately. Oh, stop going up the trees, man. I didn't want you to do that. Down. There we go. Oh, man, he just really... Imagine running through the woods with your arms out as far as you can on both sides of you, and every time you get near a tree, your arm just hooks on it, and you just start climbing it. That's kind of what it feels like playing as this guy, and I'm sprinting as long as I can here. So he's got incredible stamina and endurance, and he doesn't seem to have any trouble running through snow for long periods of time, or worry about getting cold, really. Especially odd, considering he seemed to start the game in a pool of his own blood. At least I'm assuming it was his own blood. It was just a patch of particularly red snow for some reason, or maybe not snow, maybe it was exposing some sort of red object beneath the snow. I'm stretching it now. Any minute now, something cool is going to happen. I know it. Well, you know, I do kind of hear where they're coming from here with making the Yetis rare. A little bit of dyslexia, because dyslexics are people poo. But yeah, if the Yetis were just running at me from every angle like in a Cabela's game, maybe we'd have an issue. And I'm not generally a huge Cabela game player, but I have seen them played before because it was a bit of a running gag when I used to work at GameStop. We would sign them out, and we would, you know, have fun drinking night, and we would go and play Cabela's Most Dangerous Hunts or whatever, and, you know, get attacked by 250 bear in the space of 10 minutes. Nature really wanted you dead in that game. They made some kind of like crazy action game towards the end of that series. I don't think they've made one in a while, but it was like a character-driven action game based on the Cabela's franchise, which just seems completely wild. I think it was Two Best Friends Play or something did it, and my goodness. Those guys are hilarious, by the way. If you don't watch them, you gotta check them out, because they have some of the best and most hilarious videos on YouTube that I've seen when it comes to funny gameplay. I can only hope one day to be acknowledged by them. That would be a dream of mine. Oh, more blood. I haven't seen one of those in a while. Not sure where I'm going. I mean, it seems like maybe one day I'll reach something, but I really don't know. This has been an interesting time for us to spend together, chatting while we go hunting in the forest with snow everywhere. Hopefully it's resulted in a little bit of our bonding, learning a little bit more about each other. Granted, it's been largely one-sided, but you can't really fault me for it, because, you know, this whole internet thing really only works in one direction right now. Unless, of course, we were on Skype, and it happens to be that we're not right now. But who knows, maybe in the future we can remedy that. I always like to talk to people, why not? You never know where it's gonna go. Never shine if you don't glow. Oh my god, how many times am I going to make this Smash Mouth reference? Ever since I played that freaking fantastic game. Did you know there's a Smash Mouth Eggs Twitter? I don't even know what that has to do with. Like, is there a subculture of Smash Mouth that's going strong, like, to this day in 2013? I mean, largely, I'd pretty much written off that band around, I don't know, like 2001. I don't know when that song came out, but that's about the last time I really thought they were that relevant, watching TRL, like, rooting for Korn and Limp Bizkit every day. Oh my god. I'm a much different person now, by the way. High school was weird, man. That was like the crowning achievement of my days, is like 1999, seeing Limp Bizkit live at Woodstock 99. Ugh. Crazy stuff. I'm not sure we're going to see a Yeti. I'm starting to buy into the fact that maybe they're just too rare. And, or I'm not picking up on the cues properly. Maybe I should be climbing more trees. Maybe I want to be using these blood spatters as markers. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing, but using them more like directly like trail markers. You know, you see one, you look for another, and then you follow that path back to the Yeti. You'd think I would just have run into one just completely on accident by now. It doesn't seem to be happening. I will say the music is still very enjoyable, though. And I don't really see it getting old anytime soon, either. I'm really going to be disappointed here if we can't produce one single Yeti to shoot at. I guess I could just shoot a tree, so you know what that sounds like. Surprisingly well modeled. I guess we're going to wrap this one up. Hitting R apparently resets the game anyway, so I don't know how many days we had under our belt, but like probably like 4 or 5. Now we're back at the beginning. That'd be hilarious if I turn around and there's just like a Yeti standing behind me. It may have been one of those things like a war of attrition where the developer intended for this to seem like it was an unending prospect, and if you just hang in there long enough, maybe probability starts to favor you, and maybe one will show up more commonly or frequently. You never know. I mean, just like with the Binding of Isaac, a lot of these metrics are completely unknown to the end user. Which I think a lot of the time actually results in a more appealing product. In general, that's my advice to anyone who asks that's working on an indie game. Any systems that you can hide from the eyes of the user, or the player I should say, is generally more going to result in more replay value for your game. You know, the less they know, the more they're going to want to try and figure it out, and you always want to keep them wanting more, right? So keep a lot of things hidden, make it compelling enough. Any kind of time when there's an object that just shows up completely at random, You know, let them believe maybe it's got some sort of a trick to it that if they figure it out, maybe they can manipulate the game. That's something I always got into. I know it's probably not advice for everybody because not everybody plays this games the same way that I do. But in general, the more difficult it is to figure out how something works, the more I'm interested by it. You know, but curiosity killed the cat, so there's also that to keep in mind. I think that's what kept me into Dark Souls quite as long as I was into it, and I'm still into it. I just haven't really played it in quite a few months. But yeah, just the learning about all the little bits and pieces of that game engine and how the different enemies worked, all the different items. I mean, there's tons of them, and a lot of them that you could go through the entire game and never even see. Entire NPC interactions, entire, like, sub-quests. And I love that. That seems like that's when a developer is at their best, when they have so much content and so much just that they're excited to get out there that you don't even need to see it all, but it's up to you to find it if you want. I mean, putting the control in the player's hands is almost always a good thing, whenever possible. You never want them to feel like they're just running down a corridor from point A to point B, and that's, I think, a lot of what has happened to a lot of AAA releases. Granted, of course, not all of them. There have been a few that have really gone far off the beaten path, more than I would have even expected. Oh, it's night again. Oh, man. That would really screw with my head if all of a sudden I see Slender Man. Guy shows up in the weirdest places nowadays. They should make an entire, like, sub-YouTube for, like, Minecraft and Slender videos. I don't want to go down this path. This could end up getting ugly. Let's actually just wrap up this episode now. I'm really sad we didn't see a Yeti. But, you know, you're not going to see a Yeti every single time when you go hunting for one. It's just an unfortunate element when it comes to cryptozoology. You're just not going to see one every time. But we do have a rifle. We're ready to go if one wants to show up. Maybe next time, though. So that's going to do it for this episode. Unfortunately, Yeti Hunter didn't quite pan out for us, but I am interested in seeing anything else this game has to offer, if it wants to show it to me, that is. And it is a free download, so as always, I'm going to put the link right in the description. Maybe we'll find one just as I'm wrapping up, who knows, I'll just keep running. But as always, remember to head on over to the website, www.indie-impressions.com, and check out all the videos, old and new. You can browse them by all the different ways that they are tagged. There's different genres. We've got them sorted by distribution methods. You can look for just all the free games, all the ones on Steam, or all the ones on Greenlight. It's up to you guys. There's also... Holy crap, I just found a Yeti, didn't I? What just happened there? Did you not see that? Oh, man. It's always when it happens, when I'm least expecting it. And now it's just gone, right? It's completely gone into the night. I almost had it. Ah, totally disrupted everything. What are we going to do? Anyway, I'll finish up what I was saying. So, Facebook page as well, facebook.com/indieimpressions. Feel free to give a visit to that. Leave a like if you choose to, and you'll get every new video delivered right into your Facebook feed. Makes it convenient for you so you don't have to go looking for them. I'll come right to you, and then you can stay up on whatever's going on in the channel. I also do channel updates, occasionally news updates, and contests through there as well. So if you'd like to leave a like, I promise I won't spam your feed or anything. I only post, you know, maybe the one video a day and maybe one other thing, if that. Sometimes just the one, honestly. So I'd love to see you show up on that page if you'd like to, of course. And lastly, if you're an indie dev and you'd like to send me your game for a possible video on the show, or if you just have any comments, questions, suggestions, or criticisms, quickest way to get a hold of me is at RockLeeSmile on Twitter. There's also a contact form right on the website, which I've had quite a few people make liberal use of, and I'm quite happy about it. And of course, I do take PMs via YouTube, Reddit, or Twitter as well, so the options are completely up to you. And that's going to pretty much wrap us up for this episode. I am very sorry that this ended up just being a solitary walk through the woods with you and me, but at least we got to talk about some random stuff, right? So there is that, at least. You got to see what Yeti Hunter's about. It's a game of waiting. Oh, crap, there he is again. Seriously? They don't give you very long... I see him! I see him! Following him. Where is he? Oh, he's so far ahead of me, I can't catch up. I gotta try and cut him... Oh, man. Are we really gonna end this video without bagging a Yeti? I know they're elusive, but come on. Is that fast? Alright, well, even if we don't get one, I'm trying to say that I hope you guys had fun. He must have made a hard left or something, and I just lost him. That sucks. So close. But we at least caught a glimpse of one, and isn't that good enough, really? I mean, what do you really expect? It's a Yeti, after all. Is that him again? No, I think it was just a snowflake. Well, I'm never going to catch him in the dark, although I almost did it first. But let's end this episode before this gets protracted and ridiculous, although it's probably gone beyond that at this point. Hopefully you're still here, but if you are, props to you. And I hope to see you again tomorrow, because I do another new video and another new indie game every single day. And for those of you that have stuck with the channel for a long time, I really appreciate it, and I hope you will continue to do so. We do have some pretty cool stuff coming up for the channel in a little while, so hope to share all of that fun with you guys, and I hope you have a lovely night, and I hope you bag yourself a Yeti. Talk to you later.